Well, the Astros, the Orioles, and the Braves have been eliminated from the playoffs. Plus, we're talking Mets, Brewers. Brewers evened it up at 1-1. We also talking NFL trade rumors. Could Davante Adams or Tyreek Hill get moved to the Chiefs? All that and more right here on Coast to Coast Sports. My name is Levi. Welcome back to the show. Thank you to all of our new listeners, by the way. Let's start with the MLB. Let's start with the Braves Padres. What a crazy game that was. 5-4. Padres win it at home in front of a riveting Petco Park audience. They're moving on to face the Dodgers, and that's going to be a great game. I mean, let's be honest here. That's going to be a fantastic series. Padres-Dodgers, they played each other a week ago. Dodgers took 2 out of 3. I think the Dodgers will win again, but I will be rooting for the Padres. I'm a big Padres. I used to live in San Diego, if you guys don't know. Big Padres fan right here. And if they can somehow pull off the upset of the century a second time, remember, they upset the Dodgers in 2022, and it was an amazing moment for the city. It was an amazing moment for those guys. If they can do it again, just the embarrassment for the Dodgers to lose in the playoffs twice in 3 years to their division rivals, the Padres. I would love to see that. I would love to see that embarrassment. But B, how remarkable would that be for that organization to take down the Dodgers twice? I think the Padres feel like they can do it because they've been there before. They've been the second place team who, after losing the season series to the Dodgers, finds a way to beat them in the playoffs. They've done it before. And I think they might have the pitching to do it. Offensively, no question. The way they stack up, the Dodgers have a better lineup. Like Ohtani, Freeman, Mookie Betts, that is a better trio than Tatis, Merrill, Machado. And it's close. I think I love the guys on the Padres. Araya is a really good player. Kim is great. Bogarts, Cronenworth, Jurickson, Profar. I mean, they have a good lineup. So don't. I'm not trying to belittle their lineup. They have a little bit of everything. They got speed, power, average. The Dodgers have a little more of everything. But I think the key here is going to be pitching. And if you look at who they've got and what they've been able to do, I think San Diego can hold their own against the Dodgers. I really do. So let's go through their rotations really quick. Who is probably going to be pitching for the Dodgers? Because the Padres, we know who it's going to be. It's going to be Musgrove. It's going to be Michael King. It's going to be Dylan Cease. That's a great trio. You remember, Michael King put together a 2.95 ERA this season. 2.95 ERA, 201 strikeouts, 173 innings. He had a great season. Dylan Cease had a great season. 3.47 ERA, 189 innings pitched, 224 strikeouts, 14-11 record. Joe Musgrove, when he came back from being hurt, 3.88 ERA, 6.5 record, 99 innings, 101 strikeouts. The back end of that rotation, a little bit more of a question mark. I don't think Yu Darvish is going to be starting games. I believe he's going to be in the bullpen. So I'm not sure exactly who it's going to be in the back end of that rotation. Matt Waldron could get a start in there. 4.79 ERA, 188 innings pitched. We could see Robert Vasquez get a start. Randy Vasquez got a 4.31 ERA. So the back of the rotation, not as good. But with Cease, King, Musgrove at the top of it, that is a really nice little trio. Now let's go to the Dodgers. What do the Dodgers have? How can they match up? They're going to probably throw Gavin Stone, who is pretty good this year, 3.53 ERA, 11.5 record. We'll probably see Yamamoto. Yamamoto had a 3 ERA, 7.2 record. Put together a good season, but he doesn't throw deep into games. Probably going to see some Jack Flaherty, who made 10 starts, 3.17 ERA. 10 starts for the Dodgers. He made 18 also with Detroit, actually. Funny that the Tigers traded Jack Flaherty and then went on to make the playoffs, isn't it? Are we going to see Walker Buehler? Are we going to see Bobby Miller? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go because neither of them played well this year at all. But I like the Padres pitching a lot. Let's talk about the Braves for a sec. With Atlanta, I think Atlanta needs to understand Spencer Strider out for the year. Acuna out for the year. Riley was out for the second half of the year. I mean, it would have been a tough order to make a run. Without your best pitcher and your two best hitters, how could you expect to make a run? The fact that they did it with those guys, with Whit Merrifield and Gio Urshela, Ramon Laureano, and Jared Kelenic, and Orlando Arcia, it really did feel for the Braves like the bottom half of their lineup was kind of like the veterans committee of guys who maybe shouldn't be in the league anymore. And a lot of them proved that maybe they still do have a place in the league. Jorge Soler. I mean, it was old guys who really battled and gave it their all. And I think the Braves should be proud. I think they have a lot to be proud of this season. They accomplished a lot. Chris Sale had an amazing year, a comeback for the ages. And even despite underperformances by basically everyone in their lineup besides Ozzy Albies underperformed this year. I mean, even when they were healthy, Acuna and Riley underperformed. They still managed to make the postseason as the number 5 seed. And I think the Braves should be proud of what they achieved. I would not hang my head if I was the Braves. Because I don't think most teams, if you say, oh yeah, your ace pitcher, your MVP level center fielder, and your all-star third baseman are all going to be out for the last 2 months of the year, and a couple of them for even longer than that. Good luck. And the Braves still made the playoffs, so congratulations to them. But let's talk about that Astros game. Man, how sweet it is. The Astros have been eliminated from the playoffs. 7 straight home playoff losses for the Houston Astros. Do they have a fan problem? How about the Tigers, man? Tigers are moving on. 3 AL Central teams going to be in the ALDS. And it's interesting. All it took for them was for Javier Baez to get hurt. I mean, it's so funny. We make fun of him, and for good reason, because he's not a good player. But I do think it's funny that them getting hot almost completely coincided with Javier Baez getting hurt and being out for the season. If they make a run, he would, somehow get a ring. You look at his stats. I mean, Baez was so bad, and that's one of the worst contracts of all time. And maybe this run can, spark him. This season, he played 80 games, 25 runs scored, 50 base hits, 12 doubles, 6 home runs, career low, 37 runs batted in. He hit 184 with a 221 on-base percentage, 294 slugging, 515 OPS. And we make fun of him. We talk about 2022 as a bad year for him. He had a 671 OPS in 2022. 2023, 592. This year, 515. He's gotten worse in every single season in the past 4 years. He's 31 years old, and they still have to pay him for the next, 3 or 4 years. Good news for them, though, it's not going to matter because they're a good team now. So maybe that will be enough to spark Javier Baez to play a winning brand of baseball. If not, you kind of just have to eat the money there because I don't think you can afford to keep him around. If you're a competitive baseball team fighting for division titles, fighting for World Series, making the playoffs, knocking the Astros out, there's no way they can keep Javier Baez around. So they have to figure that out. But congratulations to them, man. Who let the Tigers get hot? That's what they said. The Mariners did. Spoiler alert. They took 5 out of 6 from the Mariners in August, and that's how they got hot. But, yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch them. And I'll be honest, if that was the Twins or the Red Sox or the Mariners in their shoes, I don't think they win that game against the Astros. It was a good game. The Tigers brought in Jackson Jobe, 21 years old, top pitching prospect in the game. He's only thrown 4 innings in his MLB career. They brought him in to pitch to the Astros. He promptly gives up 2 runs, so the Astros took the lead 2-1. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way they just did that. Here come the Astros, right? The Astros are inevitable, right? They feasted off the rookie pitcher who has 4 innings of MLB experience, and now they're going to win, and then they're going to keep the momentum and win tomorrow. And then the Tigers did what I did not think was possible. They loaded the bases at the bottom of the 8th against Ryan Presley. In comes Josh Hader. Here's a pinch hitter, Andy Ibanez. Bases clearing double. It was one of the best moments we've seen in the postseason so far. Bases clearing double from Andy freaking Ibanez, who, by the way, he's one of those guys that got more playing time because Javier Baez has got hurt, and he deserves it. And the Tigers moving on, 5-2 victory. Love to see it. The other team that is moving on is the Kansas City Royals, and again, I talked about Baltimore yesterday a little bit. They have clearly a playoff problem. And I don't know if it's a Brandon Hyde thing, if he just can't fire them up. I don't know if it's a bats going cold thing. Credit to the Baltimore pitching staff because, man, Zach Eflin and Corbin Burns, I feel bad for you. They allowed 3 total runs. They lose both games. They lost 1-0 and then 2-1. What a sad way to go out in your own home stadium against a Royals team that basically scraped and clawed their way to the end of the season and were very lucky to get into the postseason. Kansas City, they fell flat on their face in September. But Baltimore, again, they show that no matter how good you are in the regular season, there's an X factor in the playoffs. And I talked about it yesterday, how Baltimore feels like they are the basic white girl team of baseball. It's just a bunch of 24, 23, 25-year-old basic white guy who are just kind of, here's another one. The number 20 ranked prospect, the number 10 ranked prospect, here's another one. Here's Adley, here's Gunnar, here's Colton Cowser, here's Heston Kjerstad, here's Jordan Westberg, here's Jackson Holliday. And they're all pretty good. I think they're all a little bit overrated, though. And I think that when you look at them through a lens, you realize they have just a carbon copy of the same guy, which is young, good prospect, doesn't have any postseason experience, not super clutch, and a little bit overrated. And we overrate them because of the prospect status, and because of the regular season wins, and because when they're all in the same lineup, it looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? And you throw in some Santander, and you throw in some, some Ryan O'Hearn, and it looks great. Throw in some James McCann, but they're not shining when the lights are brightest. And maybe, I hope this is not seen as an insult to the basic white girls. But the Orioles feel like they're just the basic team. But there's nothing special there. I don't see the special in Baltimore. I see a team that drafts really well, develops really well, gets players to the big leagues, wins a lot of games, but they lack that X factor, which is the specialness. And that's what the Padres have. The Padres have special. Detroit has special. The Dodgers with Ohtani is special. The Guardians, special. There's some special with Cleveland. There's some special in New York with both of those teams, Mets and Yankees. I don't see anything special about the Orioles. I see a lot of good players who are maybe a little bit overrated and kind of basic. And because I make the joke about the basic white girl team of the MLB because they're all a bunch of white guys, and they all, the basic white girls are going to have a crush on the Baltimore Orioles, but that doesn't mean they're going to be good. Baltimore needs to figure it out in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Kansas City, They're going to face the Yankees. No, they're not. Are they? No, they're going to face the Guardians. So that should be a fun series. Royals, Guardians. Remember, the Guardians swept the Royals the last time they played, but 2 times before that, the Royals swept them. So the past 2 series that they played each other were both sweeps, and the Royals did sweep them one of those times. I would take the Guardians to win that series. I think it'll be close, but the Royals sure have some fun players to root for. I still can't believe Vinny Pasquantino's back that quickly from getting hurt. It's a huge credit to that guy, man. Huge credit to that guy. Last but certainly not least in the MLB, Jackson Chourio coming back for the Brewers. Second youngest player ever to hit 2 home runs in a playoff game. He hit 2 at the age of 20 to help his Brewers come back against the Mets to even up the series 1-1 apiece. So tomorrow that will be, I guess tonight, that's the standalone game. I'll be on a plane, so I'm going to miss most of it, which sucks. But how exciting is that game going to be? Mets-Brewers, man. 1 game to decide it all. Mets going to throw out Jose Quintana, I believe. Not sure who the Brewers are going to throw out there. Should be interesting to see what goes on there. I'm rooting for the Mets, but I do kind of feel for the Brewers because I feel like every year they make the playoffs and lose. Last time they won a playoff series was the 2018 NLDS. So it's been a while. And I think they made it, after that, they made it in 2019, 2020, 22, 23. They made it 4 out of the past 5 years, and they have not won a series in that time. So Milwaukee, I feel for them. I'd be fine if they won. I am rooting for the Mets, though. As I talked about yesterday, very likable team. But man, Jackson Chourio is establishing himself. He's really come alive in the second half. He's been such a big part. I mean, they needed someone to replace the Christian Yelich production, and they got it with Jackson Chourio. Big problem for them, though, is pitching. I don't think they had the pitching to square up with some of these other teams. So we'll see what happens. If they win, they would play the Phillies. Again, man, Brewers, Phillies might be a little more even matched. We saw them play a series a couple weeks ago, and I think the Phillies took 2 out of 3. But the Mets-Phillies would just be so epic, man. So epic. They're division rivals. It would set up a really fun little thing where you got Royals, Guardians, obviously division rivals. You get Dodgers, Padres, obviously division rivals. And then you get Mets, Phillies, division rivals. So, I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool. So far, my predictions, I picked the Astros to win. I was wrong about that. I picked the Padres to win. I was right about that. I picked Kansas City to win, so I was right about that. And I picked the Mets to win. So we'll see. Can I go 3 for 4? Or am I going to end up going 2 for 4? I correctly predicted Padres and Kansas City. No, I don't think I did. I could have sworn I picked the Orioles, though. Am I tripping? I think I picked the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, I did. I picked Baltimore. So that's... I don't even remember who I picked. I know I was right about the Padres. I know I was wrong about the Tigers. I'm not sure if I picked Baltimore or Kansas City. But either way, hope the Mets win. Go Mets. Let's talk some NFL trade rumors. Davante Adams sitting out against the Denver, which, by the way, if the Raiders beat the Broncos, which they totally could, they'd be 3-2. But I guess the record doesn't really matter. They know it's a tough division. Their schedule will get harder. They still have to play the Chiefs twice. I mean, it's a tough division. And Gardner Minshew is not, he's not a serious, good quarterback. So Davante Adams officially on the trade block. They're hoping to get a second-round pick. I think they can get it. But if he's not playing, it kind of hurts him because his stats haven't been great. So I don't know. It could be he could end up going for a third. Supposedly his top two teams are the Saints and the Jets. So let's talk about those first, and then we'll talk about Kansas City, which is kind of the other team that perhaps could be in play. New Orleans. Man, I keep talking about the Saints. This is the second day in a row I'm doing a Saints segment on here, which is crazy because the Saints have been irrelevant for a little bit. But New Orleans, Derek Carr, the whole reason Davante went to the Raiders was to play with Derek Carr. So, that logic, I could see it happening. But at the same time, A, the Saints aren't that good. B, the Saints are already way over the cap. And C, they didn't have that connection in Las Vegas. Like, when he got to Las Vegas, it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be great. It's Derek Carr, it's Davante. They're gonna be a dynamic duo, and they never really were. And then Derek Carr got benched and then got traded, or no, they just cut him. I think, yeah, they just cut him. So why does he think it'll go better in New Orleans? I don't know. Now, maybe he just really thinks the New Orleans are a good team. I tend to not think that, but we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. Meanwhile, the Jets are maybe a little bit better of an option. Still don't love it. But he knows Aaron Rodgers. So Davante clearly craves comfortability. And you see it in the commercials, right? He's got dude has a Taco Bell in his house, according to the commercials. So he craves comfort. He craves comfortability. He wants people that he knows. He wants to play with his friends. I get it. I feel it. But there's also an element of decision-making there where it's like, again, the Jets, not a great team. They're 2-2. Aaron kind of looks washed a little bit. I don't want to say he's washed, but kind of looks like he's washed in the last game. You're competing with playing time with Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. I don't know. I don't know if is that the right move. Again, the Jets could and probably should do it, although I think the Jets really should focus on signing Hassan Riddick first. But either way, that's an option. The teams that I'm looking at, Dallas says that they are interested. And the Cowboys are interesting because they, I think, need to get some juice. Because right now, they look like the third best team in their division. Commanders look better than them. The Eagles look better than them. I know the Eagles are 2-2, same record. But the Eagles' losses came against a pretty good-looking Falcons team, and it was close. And the last loss was another close loss against a pretty good Tampa team. Dallas lost to a Baltimore team that's 2-2. Again, they look good. But the Saints loss, blown out by the Saints at home, makes me think Dallas is not all that good right now. That left a really bad taste in my mouth, and it's still in my mouth. So I think Dallas could really benefit from making a splash move and getting Davante. The Chiefs are the other one. And I agree. I was watching First Things First. Nick Wright has the right call on this. Look, if the Raiders are smart, they would trade him to the Chiefs. Get some picks back from the Chiefs. That's going to weaken them in the future, and in turn, it will help you, right? It'll hurt you now. You'll have to play him twice in the same year. I don't know if the Chiefs are actually interested in Davante because, A, I don't think they need another receiver. B, if they do, they're probably more interested in the next guy we're going to talk about. But if Davante wants to get traded and the Chiefs are interested, if I was the Raiders, I'd take their offer because you can weaken them for the future. Force them to give up some draft capital now, and in 4 years, they might be a little bit worse. I don't think it ever hurts to trade within division, especially in the NFL where draft picks are so important. But the thing is, for the Chiefs, they may be more interested in Tyreek Hill than Davante Adams. So let's talk about that. Tyreek Hill, bit of a cryptic tweet the other day, said he woke up to trade news that was exciting. Didn't expand on that. Dolphins are still without Tua. They're 1-4. Tyler Huntley is going to be their starter for the next 3 games. And just for funsies, let's pull up their schedule. Because Tua cannot come back till week 8. According to what I'm seeing, he is planning on making a full recovery in week 8. He's almost symptom-free, they're saying. Doesn't change the fact that they don't have him until then. And their next 3 games, you get the Patriots, the Colts, and the Cardinals. Winnable games, but you just got blown out by the Titans. So I'm going to make a bold prediction and say I think they lose to the Colts, lose to the Cardinals, maybe they beat the Patriots. Let's say they go 1-2 in their next 3 games. They're going to be 2-6. With Tua, you win all 3 of those games. With Tyler Huntley, you probably win 1 of those 3. They're going to be 2-6. Then Tua comes back. First game back, he has to take on the Bills and that defense, Von Miller and that D-line. They're going to lose that game in Buffalo. Are you kidding me? So then they're going to be 2-7. The Rams, maybe they can beat them to get to 3-7. Raiders, maybe you can win to get to 4-7. Patriots, with Tua you can win 5-7. Okay, now you've won 3 in a row. But here's the last bit of their schedule: Packers, Jets, Texans, Niners, Browns, Jets. Even if you want to assume that the Jets aren't actually going to be a threat and the Browns aren't a good team anymore, which, I think they have a good defense at least, and they'll have Myles Garrett by that time. I would imagine the best case scenario in those last 6 games is to beat the Jets twice, beat the Browns, and beat the Packers. Best case scenario, you go 4-2 down the stretch. But if you're 5-7 going into the stretch, that puts you at 9-8. Best case scenario is 9-8. And that's not going to get you in the playoffs. At least I don't think it is. It would take a miracle. And that's if you can sweep New England, sweep the Jets, and then you have to beat the Browns, Packers, who look pretty good, Raiders, and the Rams. That's the 8 wins I'm giving them right now. I don't think they're going to get there. So here's what I'd do if I'm Miami. I wouldn't bring Tua back for this year. I would let him rest the entire season. I would trade Tyreek Hill for a first-round draft pick. And but essentially, let Tyler Huntley play out the season as your quarterback. And lose a bunch of games. You have 2 first-round draft picks next year. One of them will be a top 10 pick, the one from yourselves. The other one for Tyreek might not be. Take those 2 first-round picks and then reevaluate your options and say, look, what do we need most to support Tua and help them win? Do we need to spend some first-rounders on the O-line? Do we need to add the defense? Because you can get a haul for Tyreek Hill. You can get a first-round pick and more. Because everyone's saying, well, how are they going to replace his production? They need Tyreek Hill. I don't necessarily think they do. Their offense was good before he came in. Now, it was great last year with him there. It was great. But you still have Jalen Waddle. And I think, here's what I do. If you trade Tyreek Hill, then go into the offseason and sign a T. Higgins to be your new number 2. Now you got Waddle and Higgins. That's still a great combo. And maybe go out there and trade for a better tight end. You already have good running backs. I don't think trading Tyreek Hill would be detrimental to their offense because their offense doesn't rely on him to be great. Their offense essentially is the Tua dink and dunk. Tyreek's best in a downfield deep ball offense. Tua doesn't throw the deep ball that often. Tua's a dink and dunker. So they might actually benefit more from having other receivers who are better at kind of playing that dink and dunk game instead of Tyreek, who's a great deep shot, but Tua doesn't throw a great deep ball. So I think if I was them, I'd be fine trading him. But I understand, they might lose the fan interest without him. They might, people would obviously be down on the team. But if Kansas City comes calling, if Kansas City wants him back, I would do it. Look, the Chiefs, if they want a receiver, a reunion with Tyreek is on the board. I think Mahomes would be thrilled. I think Kelsey would be thrilled. I think Andy Reid would be thrilled. I think they would love that. And I think Tyreek would be thrilled too. Tyreek talks a big game in Miami, and he's hyped up Tua a lot. But you go to the Kansas City Chiefs in a reunion with your former team with a chance to three-peat. Who doesn't want that? Obviously, Tyreek wants that. We'll see if the Marlins are bold enough to do it. We'll see if the Chiefs are bold enough. Like I said yesterday, I do think the Chiefs can survive without Rashee Rice. I think that they will be absolutely fine without him. But if they really want to make that upgrade, they can do it. They have the cap to do it. They have the draft picks to do it. I would think they would be much more interested in Tyreek Hill than in an aging, declining Davante Adams.